Hey everybody, it's Steve with Excel Training Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to set up your Platinum template so that you can easily use it to make programs. So before we mess with any of the drop downs or any of the program design aspects of the template, you have to make your databases first. If you don't make your databases first, it's going to get very frustrating going back and forth trying to enter information. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing we're going to do is click this blue tab titled Exercise List. Now to use this exercise list, there's two things you have to do. The first thing you have to do is create your actual categories. So you can see on this sheet that I have 7 categories set up first. Now to create categories, you simply type over these here. And just remember, we don't use any spaces, you just use an underscore. You also don't want to use any special characters, so basically just leave it to letters and underscores to make the title. Etc. So here you can type in. Now to create the categories, you type in the names of the categories that you want over here on the left side, and then you press this blue disk. So an example would be upper pull, upper push, lower pull, lower push. You can even go with a tier system setup where it's an upper, lower, total. Other ones that I use commonly are single leg, posterior chain, upper back, core, etc. You make as many as you want here. And as soon as you have these categories done, press this blue disk. It's going to pop up and it's going to say done. Programs are created, or the categories are created. Now that that's done, we need to type in the actual exercises. So upper pull, we could have chest supported row, barbell row, dumbbell row, inverted row, pull-ups, lat pull down, etc. Now you see every time I type one of these that they're getting entered into this table and the color behind it is changing. That's a good thing. If they get entered in like this where there's no color behind it, that's usually because the macros on the sheet are not enabled or you're skipping a row. So you see if you start typing while skipping a row, it's not going to enter into the table. So type in the name of the exercise and then press enter. And so on and so forth. You can type in as many exercises as you want on these sheets. Just going straight down the line, type in all of the exercises that you're going to use. The next thing that you want to do is type in a percentage and a max. Now these are needed to calculate the weight on the sheet. If you don't have a percentage and a max to pull from for that percentage, it's not going to calculate a weight. An example would be bench press. We want this to pull from 100% of your bench press max. If you get these little pound signs here, that simply means you need to make the text smaller. Dumbbell bench, we can do 60% of the bench press max. Incline bench, you might do 75 or 80 or whatever you think that it's going to be. So basically, when it calculates a weight for this exercise, it's going to make a max for incline bench based off 75% of your bench press max. You're going to follow the same concept all the way down the line, typing in the exercises, the percentages, and the maxes. If you don't want it to calculate a weight, say something like push-ups, you don't need to calculate a weight, you just leave those blank. If you want to change a single category, go to the category that you want to change and click this red X and type in the category name, press enter and yes, and it's going to create that category. Next, go to the program sheet. The program sheet is where you store your set and reps games. So in this program sheet, we have categories of programs: effort, dynamic effort, volume, power, speed, strength, etc. And then under those categories, we have the actual set and rep schemes that would be defined by that category. So you see here we have 5x5, it's 65% with a 5% increase. 65%, 5 sets, 5 reps, 70, 75, 80. and so on. You simply type in your set and rep schemes here. You can type in however you want to. You don't have to put sets, you don't have to put reps, you don't have to put percentages. You can see typically I have a general column or an other, where this could just be 4x8, and it's simply no percentages, just 4x8. Now a cool feature of this Platinum template is you can change the actual categories up here at the top simply by pressing this X, and we can change that category from effort to maximal strength. Just click this red X and change that category from effort to maximal strength. And you'll see that the category is created. Now sometimes you might get an error the first time you do that. Ignore that and try it again and it's going to work. Once you have all of your set and rep schemes entered, again you want to take your time on this because going back and forth is going to get annoying pretty quick. Take your time on this and fill in as many as you are going to conceivably use before you begin building programs. The last thing we need to do is build a roster. So the Platinum template allows you to build 10 rosters for sports. So you could have baseball, football, hockey, lacrosse, women's dive. Now same thing here applies. You don't want to use spaces, you just want to use underscores. Men's dive, basketball, whatever sports you want to put in here or the sports that you're training. You can even do it online clients, in-person clients, youth athletes, however you would categorize your clients, you would put here under the sports, and then press the save button. And what it's going to do is it's going to take all of these sports here and turn them into their own individual rosters. Here's a little trick. Excel gets weird sometimes. If you find that you're typing the names of the athletes and it's not entering, let's say they just start doing that where they don't go into the table, save the sheet, close it, restart Excel and reopen it and it'll work. I don't know why. That is one of the downfalls of building a program on someone else's platform, but that's just something that we have to deal with on occasion. You can also enter the email if you decide that you want to email the athletes their programs. Not necessary, but you can do that. Next, you need to enter in the actual athlete maxes. So across the top here, you see the names of the maxes. You can change these, and these will change on both the sheet and on the drop downs. So we'll leave these as they are for now, but you can change these. These are what the actual exercises, when you type in a max, are going to pull from, and these are what's going to be used to calculate a weight. So you put in the ones that you're going to use and just make sure the athlete's maxes get put under the correct box. I always use a blank one as well, just in case. The same thing applies here. You can change an individual roster. So let's say you want to change football to field hockey. You can press that X, and it's going to create a roster right here for field hockey. And then here you can enter in the athlete's information. So now we have our exercises entered, our programs entered, and our athletes entered. It's time to create an actual program. On this sheet, the first thing you want to do is select the roster that you're going to use. So we'll go with that field hockey roster that we just entered. And let's give field hockey an actual name. So we'll give Bob at gmail.com. Bob's going to get an email from me in a minute. I apologize, Bob. And I'm just going to enter in some basic maxes for Bob. So we have the field hockey roster selected. We have Bob's name selected. It filled in both his name and all of his maxes. Up here at the top, you see we have the percentage regulator at 90%. We're going to change that back to 100. So it's going to calculate his training weights based off 100% of his max. Now to create the actual program for Bob, press the tab up here. The orange boxes is always exercise categories, the ones that we made at the beginning. We're going to go to upper push, and we're going to select bench press. The yellow is always the sets and reps. So we're going to do maximal strength, and then we're going to select 5x5 at 65%. So you can see here that this set and rep scheme that we selected filled in, that the exercise filled in appropriately. One little error that you might see pop up occasionally is no weights pop up. So what you need to make sure is that one, that the exercise has a percentage assigned to it. It does. It has a max assigned to it as well. Last, you can see that this athlete has a bench press max of 100. If you see those are the cases, everything is where it needs to be, go to the exercise list and press save. And then go back to the sheet. And it'll work. Again, this is something that I'm not sure why. It's a weird glitch within Excel. Basically, it didn't create the exercise tables the way that they needed to be done. So if that happened, go to the exercise list, resave your categories, and they should pop up. Using the same concept of select your category first. So upper pull, and then chest supported row. And here we will select 2 sets of 20. So we have our bench supersetted with 2 sets of 20 of chest supported row. I don't want either of these to be filled in, so I'm just going to go in and delete those out. And we have our first block done. You would repeat that process all the way down to fill the program out the way that you want it. Now that we have the program made, we have a couple options here. We can save this entire program into a database. So when you press this button, a pop-up is going to pop up that says name this program. So we can call it Bob's program. Press OK. It's going to save everything that's on this sheet. In this case, it's just this first block. But everything on the sheet into a database, and it's going to fill up in this box up here at the top right. So now next year, we can recall Bob's program and see what he did, make adjustments, and reprint it. And we would do that by selecting his program and selecting this recall button right here. We can also delete the program entirely by pressing this red button right here, and this will clear out the entire sheet. All of the exercises, sets, reps, everything is going to get cleared out, started from scratch by pressing this delete button. And so you'll see that this first block that was once filled in is now going to turn into all error signs, telling us that we can start over. And sometimes Excel takes a little bit. Remember, it's operating these cells one at a time. So if you see it refreshing like this, just wait a little bit longer and you'll see it pop up. And it's completely deleted. Every exercise, set, and rep is gone. Next, we have the ability to save this program as a PDF. So when you press this, it's going to save Bob's program as a PDF in the same folder that the Platinum template is saved in. We can also send it to our local printer, or we can open up the print options. And now from here we have the roster, the entire field hockey roster that we selected. We can move them one at a time using the single arrow, or we can move all of them using the multi-arrow. And we can either print to the local printer, batch print to PDF all of these programs. So we'll save all 5 of these athletes' programs into the folder that the Excel file's in. And they'll be in individual PDF files with the name of the athlete as the file name. Or we can email the athlete their client, their program. If you select the email button, a form is going to pop up that says subject and body. Type in the subject, program, body, do this today, and just fill in the sets and reps here as needed. One more cool feature on the Platinum template is the ability to regulate the weights by week. So instead of having just a global regulator, there's a weekly regulator. and I'll show you how that works. So on this 3-day program, you're going to select that same setup that we had before. Go to the bench. And now you can see based on Jimmy John's weights, we have 520, 560, 600, and 640. We can use the percentage regulator and change all of these down by 10%. Or we can also adjust them by week. So week 1, let's say we have a game and we want to drop our weights 15%. Just change this percentage here and you'll see that these weights become significantly lower than these. Let's say you want to shoot up a little bit on this week. You can go up. You can go down by 5, or you can just leave it the same. So you can fine tune the weights based on the actual week that you're on by using the percentage regulators. Last tip, if the sheet's running a bit slow, usually it's because there's a bunch of error signs right here. Try zooming in on what you're looking at. It'll make the screen have to load less information and everything will work a little bit faster. Also with the pre-workout, the best way to do this is to have a pre-workout category. So let's go over here and make pre-workout category and type in your pre-workout stuff, including the sets and reps, in the pre-workout category. So that way, when you're selecting these drop-downs, it'll show all of that information. So just a little tip on how to use that. And that is how the Platinum template works. If you guys have any questions, check out the FAQ on the site or the original sales page to see the individual functions one at a time, or shoot me an email at exceltrainingdesigns@gmail.com or use the contact form on the site. Thanks, guys.